This is the Flipping Junkie podcast, episode 29. Welcome to the Flipping Junkie podcast. My name is Danny Johnson, former software developer turned house flipper, flipping hundreds of houses. Each week, we bring you interviews, strategies, stories, and motivation to help you get started flipping houses and on your way to becoming your own boss and achieving financial freedom. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's get to it. Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the Flipping Junkie podcast. Today I've got Brandon Turner back on the show. He was actually on the show back on episode 2 so long ago. But Brandon's a good friend of mine. Really enjoy talking to him, and I'm glad he was able to take the time to be back on the show. And the bio that Brandon sent to me, it always changes. He's always got something different. And this time, I guess he's all of a sudden became a painter, extortionist, exorcist, believe it or not, and lover, but not a fighter. He would also like everyone to know that he's not a robot, despite claims to the contrary. And a little known fact about Brandon is that he's the VP of Growth and Communications at biggerpockets.com. So for all you people out there that think that Brandon might be a robot, yeah, he's not. That's what he says. But anyway, Brandon's on the show today. We're going to talk about actionable tips for beginner real estate investors. So I wanted to have an episode here in the series of episodes that we're doing to get started in flipping with the motivation, mindset, goal setting, and give you some actionable tips for things that you can start doing right now to help further yourself to get that much closer to be flipping houses and becoming your own boss and living the life that you want to live, spending your time the way you want to spend it, and all those great things that all of us want to flip houses for. So let's go ahead and get into this episode and talk to Brandon about actionable tips that we can take as real estate investors to make a big difference. Hey Brandon, thanks for joining me on the bigger I was on the Flipping Junkie podcast. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. That was quite the intro.
Yeah, this is my podcast voice. I've been trying to find the right podcast voice to stand out and be different, but maybe I shouldn't.
Keep trying.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. By the way, I wanted to tell a quick story here, if I could.
Well, it depends on what the story is.
The story is, this is how Danny got me back on the Flipping Junkie podcast here, and I actually got a nice picture in my email of probably the most handsome guy you would ever met. I
sent him a picture of myself.
Not quite. This is a picture of Brandon Pitt, we'll call him. It is a morphine picture of Brad Pitt and Brandon Turner, and I got to tell you, it's a pretty handsome-looking fella. I'm not going to lie.
So that's how I got Brandon back on the show. I always say we're great friends, but I have to send him pictures like Brandon Pitt to get
get
him on the show.
That wasn't the only picture you sent me, but we're not going to talk about the rest.
No.
Okay.
I'm sure everyone's going to want to see the Brandon Pitt picture, though. So we'll include that on the show notes, flippingjunkie.com/29, flippingjunkie.com/29. People can check out that picture. But hey, Brandon, so you feel like talking about actionable tips for beginner real estate investors?
Either that, or we could talk about like sandwiches. I think something like that would be good too. My favorite cell phone apps. Whatever you want to talk about. I'm good.
Right, well, I like sandwiches, so that was the toss-up. We were debating flipping houses or making sandwiches.
Yeah, I do. I actually recently discovered, on the sandwich note, and then we'll move off sandwiches. I recently discovered, I don't know, it was like 6 months ago, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. They're absolutely incredible, and I never had them growing up. So I've been eating a lot of those lately. And then just 2 weeks ago, I discovered the panini, where if you take bread and put it in a panini maker, it makes it like you're eating an angel, and it's really good.
Well, I'm curious, what have you been eating if you hadn't been eating peanut butter and jelly or paninis? I mean, what?
My parents fed me rocks, and that was about it.
Rocks with ketchup on it.
That's exactly.
So what kind of jelly do you prefer? Is it the grape? You going with the standard grape?
I don't. I actually got it's like a cherry rhubarb from Costco. It's pretty good.
Oh, cool. See, I like strawberry jelly.
I do too. I actually grew up with homemade strawberry jam. I had it all the time, but usually on toast, not on a sandwich.
And then you threw peanut butter on. Okay.
Yep.
Well, also, all right, okay, we covered the sandwich thing. So actionable tips for creating the best sandwich.
Okay.
No,
those are them.
Okay, actionable tips for investors. I'll just let you just start talking about things if I come up with something, or Actually, we're sort of reading off of a script a little bit here because we have a PDF of things that Brandon had already come up with, and we'll provide that on the show notes page also as well. But we're going to go through those.
Cool. Well, why don't we start with a really, really actionable one that I like a lot, and that's this idea. Obviously, Craigslist. You're familiar with Craigslist, right?
No.
Danny, you've heard of it? Okay. Craigslist is this brand new site that just came out like 20 years ago. And, people put classified ads on there. So it's free to post an ad in most areas anyway for most things. And so why not go post an ad for, I buy houses, I'm looking to buy houses, I buy for cash, whatever. And you post an ad. Now that in itself is cool, but it's not cool enough. So here's what I want everyone to do that's listening. Take out your phone. If you have an iPhone, that's probably cool. And if not, you can pull out your Android or whatever. And then hold down that button so that Siri pops up like this. And then you say, remind me every Monday at 5 p.m. to renew my Craigslist ad.
Okay, I'll start reminding you.
There we go. And now every week, my male Siri is going to remind me to renew that ad. And then it's just like it takes you 1 minute every week, and you'll have an ad renewing on Craigslist every week. So that's my tip.
And that's actually a really good tip because most people hear that and say, oh, come on. I posted an ad on there once. It didn't work.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you do it once. The systems are what matter. And that's a system right now that every week I'll be reminded on a Monday, 5 p.m. and I'll go and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I talked to a newer investor that went through some training and everything. And she had done this deal and called me and said, I made, I think it was $100,000 on her first flip. Ooh. And this is a house that was bought for like $100,000. So it wasn't like a $900,000 that made $100,000. It was a crazy amount. And I said, well, of course, my first question is, how did you get the deal?
Yeah.
Craigslist ad.
There you
It's
go.
insane.
Yeah. And the other way to use Craigslist is you can always go look for the mom and pop landlords that are listing their properties and just call them up and say, hey, I'm not interested in renting your property, but I am interested in buying it. And you never know. 1 out of 10 maybe might be somewhat interested. And out of them, maybe 1 out of 10 of them will sell you. You never know until you try.
Right, and you can even have a high school student or a college student or somebody else do all those calling for you and do the screening, and then you just talk to the ones that say that they are interested in getting an offer.
Exactly, yep.
See, there we are. How many is that already? That's like 10 actionable tips.
I'm going to group that all into just the Craigslist actionable tip.
Okay.
Cool. All right, next.
What's the next one?
All right, next one I got is, so this is a piece of advice that I wish people would have explained to me when I was first starting out. Like, out of all the things I wish I would have known when I was starting this is that real estate is a funnel, and very much so. You get a lot of leads that come in the top, and you get very few that come out the bottom. And if you want to get more out the bottom, you've got to put more in the top. And so, to summarize this point, I recommend people, if you want to buy more property, you've got to make more offers. If you want to make more offers, you've got to analyze more deals. And if you want to analyze more deals, you got to get more leads coming across your desk. So specifically, we could dive into each one of those, but then we'd be here all day. But the idea is get leads coming in and then analyze them every day. And I like to tell people, set a goal, 3 a day. Quickly analyze 3 deals every single day. That's roughly 100 a month. Make offers on a certain percentage of them, let's say 10%. And then maybe out of those 10% you make offers on, you might get 1, 2, half of one, who knows, accepted. But the whole point is it's a funnel. And so if you want to increase your funnel, just break it into those parts and work on each part.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is that simple. I think people try to make it a lot more complicated than that. But if you just focus on getting that top part of the funnel, don't worry about the rest of it yet. Mm-hmm. Work on that and it's going to work.
Yeah, and I like to set goals too. My goal is to analyze 3 deals every day. My goal then is to make 10 offers every month, and then you just keep track of those metrics. You can do it in a simple Excel document or Google Docs or on a big whiteboard in your room. Just keep track of that stuff, and so you can always improve those things and just follow your process.
Yes, sir. All right, that's number 2. What's number 3?
Number 3. How about we talk about finding investor-friendly agents who also invest. It's really helpful. I mean, you don't have to. It's not required, but it sure is helpful to have somebody who understands that you're a weirdo and is okay with that. We don't care about how pretty the front porch is or, maybe we do a little bit because of, curb appeal, but we don't care about, all those little things that agents are used to telling people. And so I want an agent that's going to tell me this is what my cash on cash return is going to be, not how cute the countertops look. And so that's why I want an investor who either invests or at least really understands investors.
Yeah, and you can quickly tell the ones that understand because they won't tell you everything that you ask them to do is illegal. Because that's like the quickest.
Yep.
It's like, I want a wholesale. That's illegal.
That's illegal. Yep.
The wrong
I want
one.
to have a peanut butter sandwich. That's illegal. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And that's really just, a matter of talking to people at your RIA meetings and things like that, asking around for agents, or even just calling, picking. I was about to say phone book, but there's not many people that have a phone book anymore. So get online and look for all the agents and start calling offices.
Yep.
And just call the office and ask for an agent that deals a lot with residential real estate investors.
That's exactly it. I love
Simple. Do it.
Do it.
now.
Do it.
Okay, number 4.
Number 4, we've got connect with a local investor who's doing what you're doing. What you want to do at least. So if you're trying to flip houses, then probably find somebody local in your area who's flipping houses. And the reason I say that is because, Danny here can tell you that you should be, doing direct mail marketing, or he could tell you you should be flipping $100,000 properties because that's what works for him. But who cares what works for him? He's not in your area. And so what works for you in your area, you're going to have to figure out by talking to people who are doing it in your area.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's so how do you find those local investors?
So, obviously going to RIAs and things like that, you can connect with them there. Obviously I'm from Bigger Pockets, so I'll advocate that. Check on Bigger Pockets for people in your area. So an easy way to do that, biggerpockets.com/meet, MEET, not like beef, what's for dinner. So go there and you can look up people in your area, in your zip code. So
yeah, I didn't know you guys were doing mail order meat.
We are. Do you remember last year, though, April Fool's last year, we did Bigger Pockets Love, and it was a dating site for investors.
I missed that.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. The site's not up anymore, but it was really, really funny, and it was amazing. And it was all about finding a cash flow positive spouse. So,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, good dating site. So, all right, next one. Should I take it?
Go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna talk about house hacking real quick, because when people are starting out, whether you're flipping or whether you're rentals, it doesn't really matter. Like, the idea of house hacking can save you a lot of money, time, stress, whatever, and kind of be an easy way to get in. So what is house hacking? Essentially, it's the idea that you are living in a property that is also going to be your investment. So, for example, if you wanted to flip a house, you'd find a house to live in that you can flip while you're living in it, flip it, and then it reduces the risk a little bit because you're living there anyway. You have to live somewhere anyway. Or maybe buying a duplex that you live in one half and rent the other out. So it's kind of like easing in, and house hacking is the way I got started and the way a lot of people do.
Isn't there a tax benefit as well?
There definitely are tax benefits as well, and if I was a CPA, I'd tell you what they all are. But there's definitely, like, when you live in a property for 2 years and then you sell it, you pay 0 taxes. Again, talk to your CPA about that. But generally speaking, if you meet certain qualifications, you don't have to pay taxes when you move. Also, no self-employment tax and all that other good stuff that comes with regular excessive flipping. So,
yeah, and there's a lot of power behind that. We're going through these pretty quick through this episode here, but something like that. It's really. And we've done that ourselves. Melissa and I have bought a house to fix up, live in. We live in it for so many years and we sell it. And
Yep.
I think the house that we're in right now, we've been in for longer than any of the previous ones. And I think it's 4 or 5 years. But we're already getting that itch to kind of look more, even though we weren't going to. And of course, she's looking at things
Yep.
that are already fixed up. And I'm saying, no, like, I just can't. I can't buy a house that's already been fixed up.
I know, same here. I just bought a brand new house. Not brand new, but it's like 10 years old. It was like the nicest house I've ever lived in. But still, I found something that had like, ugly 2000 oak trim everywhere, like everywhere, and oak floors and oak everything. Because I'm like, that's an easy way to improve a property, just getting rid of all the 2001 oak. So
Yeah. Well, in 2000, there probably was there a lot of brass in it too?
yes, brass everywhere, brass and oak. Yeah.
Yeah, what was the deal with that, right?
I don't know. People love their oak and brass. That sounds like a band name, right?
Oak
We
and
should start a
Brass?
band. Yeah, Oak and Brass.
It's like a bluegrass band.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, so the next one is going to your local library. I don't know that some people might not even know that those exist.
They do exist. I know it's kind of like Bigfoot, but you can if you go to a library, and this is actually how I started. I went to my local library and got every single book on real estate that they had in their entire like regional library system, and I read over 100 books over a given year, and it cost me $0, and I learned a ton. So it's a good way to do it.
Any of those books would you recommend over others that stand out that you remember?
I do. A few of my favorites would be like Rich Dad Poor Dad obviously was important, just like it is to everyone, I feel like. And if you're into the like small multifamilies, there's a book by Larry Loftus called like Investing in Duplexes, Triplexes, and Quads. If you're into apartment complexes, ABCs of Real Estate Investing by Ken McElroy. There's a book, let's see, a guy named John T. Reed, who is he was an investor back in the day. He's an older guy, I think. I've never met him or talked to him. But anyway, he wrote a book called like maximizing. It's like self-published is like maximizing profit while something. It was all about like a big apartment complex, like managing them. It was hands down the best book I ever read on that topic. Until my wife and I co-wrote the book on managing rental properties, which is far, far better. But yeah,
I'll agree.
it was fantastic. His was. But anyway, those are a few.
Yeah, didn't he have a page on his website that was like sort of a review of all the gurus?
Yeah,
Is he the same guy?
Yeah, same guy. I'm very afraid he's going to put me on there someday because like he's scathing of everybody pretty much in the industry. I'm hoping I'm a good guy. I'd like pass his check, but man, he's scathing to everyone. And
I think he
it's a fun
would.
read.
I think he would.
So.
It's been a while since I checked that out. I'm sure it's still there, and he probably has some updates on it.
Yeah, I just saw you on there earlier. You had a big red mark next. Yeah, you're a big red mark and like, you're the guru. Yeah,
a picture of a donkey next to it.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Okay, you weren't there, but we will be someday. Just because we talk about real estate, everybody's like from the '90s is on there. So,
Yeah, well, but we're not charging $50,000 for a
exactly
weekend. All right. So, but that not that there's wrong with whatever. Okay. So, number 7. Go ahead.
Do you want to no, you can take it. No.
Do it.
Okay, number 7.
Work on your credit.
Credit. Dang it. Trying to jinx you. Like jinx, you owe me a Coke, or jinx, can't talk until I, whatever. Anyway. Yeah. All right, so work on your credit. It doesn't cost any money to work on your credit, so work on your credit because you're going to need it. Even if you're like, well, I don't need credit right now. I'm not going to buy a house right now or whatever. Like, at least go to annualcreditreport.com and get a copy of your credit report. You can also go to like creditkarma.com and get your credit score and start monitoring it. What measures matters and what matters usually gets measured. I read that quote today. And so if you care about your credit score in the future, start measuring it today and trying to improve it a little bit every month.
Yeah, definitely. Plus, I don't remember last time I checked. I probably should. In this day and age, too, with everybody's, whatchamacallit being identity problem.
Identity theft. Yeah, it's a problem. I just actually was talking to a buddy last night. He actually lives down in Mexico right now. He's living down there for the year, and he's up here visiting. And he said, "Yeah, my account got hacked last night." And it didn't have anything to do with maybe it has something to do with Mexico. I don't know. He's like, my account got hacked last night, and somebody started buying just thousands of dollars worth of stuff and just put us under. Lost all our money, and like now he's fighting with credit companies because of like. I don't know. It's a mess. So you never know what people are going to do and steal your information.
Right.
And so the more you monitor it, the less chance you have of that happening.
Yeah, I had that happen, and I'm pretty sure it was whenever we ate at Bubba Gump's.
That usually happens there. Yeah.
It usually happens at Bubba. It wasn't but 2 weeks later, there's a bunch of stuff like, I don't know, somebody's buying some crystal or something. I don't know. Not
crystal meth.
No. Yeah, with a credit card buying crystal meth.
They go down to the local like Walmart and pick up some crystal meth and some, I don't know, trading cents. Yeah, awesome.
But I got a call about that. It's like saying somebody was using it, and I don't know. There was I had a bad feeling when we were. But anyway, okay, so trying to be careful about what I say here. All right. Number 8 is join a real estate club or attend meetups.
That's true. I think just, they say you are the average of the 5 people you associate with the most. So why not hang out with people who are into this game like you want to be? If you want to get into real estate or want to improve your real estate, go hang around with people who are doing that. And you're not going to find them at the local Super Bowl party or whatever. Most likely you're going to find them in local real estate clubs or local meetups. Yeah,
and I think some people can be a little bit nervous about that, but when you go to one of those especially the Real Estate Investor Association meetings, the majority of people there are just like you. They're new. They don't. You're not going to be like called on to go up front and start talking about things.
Yeah.
Like you're there, and go and get used to it, and you will find that everybody's pretty friendly, and it's nice to be somewhere where you don't have people telling you, "Oh, that's crazy, you can't do that,"
Yes.
or it's illegal, or just they don't want to see you succeed. But you go there, everybody's trying to succeed and help each other out. So.
Yeah, I like that. It's just, your family and friends usually don't get it, but people at real estate clubs kind of get it.
Right. Just be careful of the person that hasn't done a lot but wants to teach you how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Right. But anyway, okay, so eliminate, number 9 here, eliminate 2 words from your vocabulary.
I can't do
you know what those words are?
I don't know, but I can't do it.
How can you?
All right, those 2 words are eliminate the words I can't. Anytime you want to say that with anything, right? Like I can't get in shape. I can't go to bed at 10 o'clock at night. I can't whatever, clean my room. I can't invest in real estate. I can't buy a rental property yet. I don't have any money. Replace that with the words, how can I? How can I invest in real estate? How can I go to bed at 10 o'clock at night? It gets your brain working and keeps you from shutting down.
Yeah, and that's big. You should print, every once in a while I get things like that, and I'll print them out. I'll put the font size like 200 pixel or whatever they rate it at, and I print it out and then stick it somewhere where I could see it all the time.
There you
And
go.
one of them recently, I just moved offices, so I don't have it here, but it's well, I think it was from Hal Elrod from his book, but it was do what's right, not what's easy.
Ooh, I like that.
Because a lot of times you're just tempted to do what's easy instead of what you should be doing to get the maximum use of your time. So,
Yep. It's very true.
all right, number 10, automated alerts from your agent. Is that possible?
It is. With most real estate agents, they can set you up with some automatic alerts. So when things change in the market, like a new property comes on, for example, I have an automatic alert set for every multifamily property that comes on the market. I get an email instantly when it gets listed, so I can be the first one to know when a new property's up or when the price changes a little bit.
Is that what's called a hot sheet? Is that, I don't
Maybe.
know. I think in the system down here it's called a hot sheet or something like that. But it's
I don't
really
know.
yeah.
I
And
just
I did
asked for
say
leads.
hot sheet, not but,
I'm a hot sheet.
you call up some agent and ask for some hot sheet, right? All right. But yeah, so I think, it's pretty simple, I think, in most of those systems. So it's not like you're going to put the agent out by asking them to set up something to send you
Yep.
something that matches your criteria, whether that be 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses in a certain zip code. It's
Yep.
pretty simple and usually automated for them, so it's not difficult.
Yeah, so we have a hot market today. I mean, in most of the country, it's pretty hot. So if you want to get a good deal, you got to be the first usually, or the last. Get something that's been on the market forever, or get something that just came on yesterday, and be prepared to act on it.
All right. So I wonder if you could probably set those up for if after a listing has been on the market for X amount of days, like if it makes
Good
91
question.
days or something. I wonder if you could do that.
I've never thought of that before, but that's actually a fantastic idea.
Yeah, because you would figure most of the time people, at least banks maybe, have sort of their process. So after it's been on for X amount of days, they're going to do a price change.
Yep.
So if you understand when that usually happens, you can make that offer right as they're making that price change or right before they do maybe, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose that could happen. What's funny about price changes with bank repos? I noticed this a lot where, like, one of my friends just bought a house recently, and they offered, like, what was the deal? They offered, like, 85 for this house or something like that. And then the bank didn't respond, and instead 2 days later they lowered their price down to like 75. So my friend offered them more. It's just like, are you serious? And so my friend's like, oh, never mind, 75. And they just got a discount because the bank was stupid, and they had their systems that they follow, and something didn't get plugged in right. And anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I've heard of that happening before too. It's crazy.
Yeah. Cool. All right, I don't know what we're on right now, but next one.
Number 11.
Yeah, people, they talk a lot about direct mail marketing, and a lot of people think it's some big, huge thing that's going to, take, I don't know, you got to be a master's degree in marketing in order to know how to do it. But today, here's an actionable thing. Right now, while you're listening to the show, or if you're driving, don't do it right now. But, just grab a piece of paper and write down a quick message that says, hey, my name is Bob, if your name is Bob, and then I want to buy your house at this address, and then just stick it in the mail and send it. Just one, even if it's just one letter, I don't care. Just get over that fear of this is what direct mail marketing is, and then maybe tomorrow do 2 or do 100 or 1,000 and figure out ways to make that quicker. But yeah, just write your first letter, even if it's just one.
Right, absolutely. And I think there's something I think there's a bit of beginner's luck sometimes if you've never done something like that before.
Yeah.
Because I think I remember the first ones that we sent out, I maybe did 11 or 20, and I got 2 calls, I think.
Yeah.
And now, I send out thousands, and I don't get that kind of return. I don't get that response rate. So there's a little bit maybe of beginner's luck in that. So use it to your advantage. Start with 20,000 letters.
Cool.
But,
all right, number next one. I don't know, 12 I think we're on. Choose a farm area, which means, get a cow and a pig and just, head out to the farm. No, a farm area is obviously where are you trying to target? What's your farm? What's your area that you're going to invest in? So if somebody says, I want to invest in San Antonio, good. I want Oreo cookies right now, but it doesn't mean I'm going to get them. Define that a little bit more carefully. What are you actually going to do? I want to buy in this part of the town, or I'm going to buy this kind of property in this part of the town. So yeah, choose a farm area when you're getting started. Later on, you can expand to the entire, state. But when you're starting out, get to know one area pretty good.
Yeah, and I guess that depends on what you want to do. If you want to fix and flip, probably a good area would be a place where a lot of people are doing rehabs, where you still have a lot of housing stock that needs repairs. So probably at least 20 years old or so, and find those areas. And so it's not just a matter of like, I like that area, so I'm going to invest in that. I mean, maybe you can do that, but if there's, you might like the real high dollar area, and it's going to be kind of hard to get a great deal.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense to maybe pick something that's lower than median home price where there's a lot going on.
That's smart. Listen to this guy. He knows what he's doing. All right. Number.
And then you laugh.
Oh, they know the truth. It's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I say. All right. Number 13. After you drive for dollars, walk for dollars. If you find that farm area that you really like, it's good to go drive around, see what you can find, look in, properties that might be vacant, but actually get out there and go take your dog for a walk and talk to neighbors when you see them. Just get to know your farm area really well. And by walking, you will learn a ton and you'll lose some weight in the process.
Yeah. And as long as it's not a war zone.
Yeah. Don't go walking for dollars in a war zone, because then you might get shot and then your dog will be like living with some jerk who shot you, and that just gets weird.
The dog would be living. And we're not I mean, it was like, seriously though, on a serious note, like be careful about some of the areas, because as investors, sometimes people, they've never been in certain parts of town, and you kind of are surprised by how certain parts of town really are. And most cities have, some pretty rough areas, and it's really no joke. But
Yeah, you can get hurt in some areas. So I mean, there's areas I just won't go in. I mean, I refuse, and that's kind of what knowing your farm area is about.
Mm-hmm.
Know what you're investing in, and if you want to invest in those areas, then avoid that tip of walking for dollars.
Yeah.
At least leave your dog at home and then go do it.
Yeah, we've got all kinds of stories of like people trying to jump into moving trucks, and 5 guys coming out of nowhere and just like rocking a truck back and forth.
Ooh.
And just weird things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I avoid that when possible. All right, next one. So this one is a little bit specific for bigger pockets people. If you're a bigger pockets person, obviously, then you would like this. So set up keyword alerts for terms that you care about. For example, if you are in San Antonio, it would be weird not to have a keyword alert set up for the word or the phrase San Antonio, because then if somebody comes on the site and says, "Hey, I'm a new guy from San Antonio," you can jump in and say hi. Or if they say, "Hey, we're having a local meetup of all real estate investors here in San Antonio," you get you get a notification about that. Or if they say, "Hey, I got this duplex that I don't want anymore, I'm selling it, it's in San Antonio," you get notified about that too. So keyword alerts, they're free. You can set up like 20 of them or something like that, or
But
10.
not for San Antonio. It's limited to me.
Yeah. Ignore San Antonio.
For San Antonio.
We booked that one out just for Danny here. So.
Right. So you get locked out. You won't get those alerts.
You will not get them. And All right, number 15. Now, go to your local eviction court, or like whoever's in charge of evictions in your area, and go and talk to them. Evictions are typically public record. So if you go there and find out who's getting evicted right now, get the entire list of all landlords that are doing evictions, maybe in the last month or so, and then contact them. I mean, I know when I go through an eviction with a tenant, like I'm in like the most like irritated, like I hate that property mode of my life. And so, if you can hit those people in those moments, you can solve their need, solve a problem, take a crappy property off their hand that they don't want and they can't handle. And then you can, make it right and fix it up, whatever. And it can be a decent way to get leads that nobody else is doing. I mean, who does that? So
Yeah. So when you were getting evicted, is that what you said?
Yeah, when I got evicted from my last place.
But one thing, a word of warning on that, in some places, if they're actually somebody's going to court, I don't think you can't really solicit them. I know that's for like here with code compliance, like they actually have signs everywhere that says like don't.
Yeah, I wouldn't actually talk to them there. I wouldn't like wait out front and ask for them. I would just get their phone number and address and mail them a letter.
Right,
yeah,
from the list, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't harass them in person. That would be awkward.
Yeah, just imagine you kind of like following people. Excuse me. With your jacket with all the dollar signs on it. Right?
How do you know about that jacket? All right.
That's funny. I'll have to Photoshop a picture like that now. All right.
You will have to. All right, next one. The next question, or the next comment, I guess, number 16. Go check in at the courthouse and learn when the foreclosure sales are actually being held. And then go to the next one. I mean, even if you don't know what you're doing, who cares? Just go and see how that's done. How do those sales usually held? I don't know, usually once a week. And is that your area once a week? Like, do they
No,
have?
it's you know what? Actually, honestly, I don't even know. I think the foreclosure ones are just once a month.
Okay, yeah, mine are weekly, and they only have like 2 sales every week. I don't know why they do them weekly. They should just do them monthly. But yeah, I mean, like, just go and attend. You'll just see kind of a cool process how it works. You also meet people probably who are buying there, who could eventually be cash buyers for you. They could just be other flippers, could be people just to get to know, maybe take them out to lunch, whatever. Just kind of a cool. It's like buying at the courthouse is kind of an advanced step that usually only advanced investors do. So why not go hang out with it where advanced investors hang out and go learn from them?
Yeah, it's a great tip.
Thank
Those are
you.
yeah, I like that one. So 17, contact a local lender.
Yeah, contact a local lender, ask them out for dinner. I'm just kidding. Talk to a local lender and just ask them about your financial situation. Be like, here's here's where I am at right now. Where do I need to be able to get qualified for a loan? They might say, hey, your credit's a little low, or hey, you need more income, or hey, you need your longer job history, whatever. But how are you going to know? Like, you're going to eventually want bank loans most likely. And so why not start planning that today and have a banker help you? They'll do it for free because it's in their self-interest to do it.
Yeah, great. And also probably contacting hard money lenders
Yep.
in town would be a part of that.
Yep. Yeah. Just, figure out what do they want. Like, if you can find out the qualifications of lenders, then you can mold yourself to become like their ideal borrower. And then, it might take a year or two, but if you do it now, then, 2 years from now, you won't look back and regret, why didn't I go do that back then?
Right. Yeah, those are definitely steps that are great to take no matter what level you are. All right, so then number 18 is go print out your bank statement.
Yeah. So this is all about, budgeting. Nobody likes to talk about budgeting except for like Dave Ramsey, and that's all right. We'll talk about budgeting.
Just Dave Ramsey.
He's the only guy on earth that enjoys. Yeah. So, budgeting, like, it's not very fun, but look, when you're trying to build up a real estate empire, you've got to start at home. You've got to start in your own household to be able to financially live and live responsibly, live smart. And to do that, you need to know how you're spending your money. I know there was a time when early on where I finally sat down and did my budget, and I realized I printed out my bank statements and I put them all into categories of how much I'm spending in each category. And I figured out I was spending an extra $1,000 a month that I made. I mean, there was a reason I was like losing money left and right, and I was just spending so much money. We made a few tiny tweaks, and all of a sudden I was saving like $1,000 a month. And all it took was just knowing what I was spending money on. So check that out definitely, and stick to a budget.
Yeah, and be prepared to be shocked at how much you're paying for your cable, internet, and phones, and
Yep.
all of that
bad.
stuff. Number 19, automatically save up a down payment. So how do you do that?
Well, there's a few ways to do it, but one way to do it, you could just automatically transfer. For example, like if you have that budget, maybe you set aside $500 every month for savings. So set up an automatic transfer on the day your paycheck comes, if you're working a job, to pull out $500 and put it into a savings account. I mean, actually, earlier on, what I actually did is my online banking that I have through my bank was under my social security number. So like, which is normal, right? So like all my accounts, all my credit card, checking account, everything like that was on my online banking. So I could transfer money, do what I wanted with it. So what I actually did was I opened up a separate account in my wife's name, only in her name, which wasn't hooked to my online banking. So when I went on my online banking, I couldn't see that account. And then we automatically transfer money from that account to her account. And the whole goal was I don't want to see that money was there. So we set up automatic payments to go into this savings account so I would forget about it. Because I didn't want to be tempted to go and borrow that money if I needed to, or take it or go use it. So,
Yeah, that's the key, automatic.
yep, automatic.
Because if you have to manually do it, you're probably going to stop doing it.
That is
And yeah, and there's something from Jim Rohn, because a lot of people, there's a common thing. It's 30% of your income, you should save 10%, give 10%, and invest 10%. And obviously, as you become more financially independent and everything, you can financially free, you can invest more and change those ratios. But, he was saying some people, when they don't make much money, have a hard time giving 10% and saving 10% and all that kind of stuff. But his statement was, if you can't, let me try to get it right here. If you can't give $1,000 whenever you're making $10,000, you're sure as heck not going to give $100,000 when you're making $1 million.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I mean, like, I think giving, investing, all those things, they're heart issues really more than anything. They're about priorities, and they're about, like, do you have the personality that can do that? I mean, there's people that live on minimum wage that are saving money. It's just a matter of where do you place your priorities? And if you don't do it when you're making $50,000 a year, you won't do it making $5 million a year.
Right. Creating the habit, creating who you are becoming, and that's what it's all about. Number 20, learn about construction.
Yeah, like even if you don't want to actually do the work and never want to swing a hammer, that's fine. But you should learn at least the basics of how it all works. And a good way to do that is watch like This Old House. It's on TV like every channel, like every hour of the day. You can find it somewhere all the time, it feels like. Or watch YouTube. There's a billion videos on how to do things. So get an idea of what does it actually take to replace a water heater? What does it actually take to re-roof a house? Like that way, later on, you'll be better equipped to be able to handle contractors who are trying to rip you off, or you get a better idea of how long a task really takes.
Right. And what I did whenever I got started, because I like a little bit more of like having a start and a finish, I grabbed like a Black & Decker, I think it was, home improvement book, and just read it from cover to cover.
Yep.
And I picked one with a lot of pictures. That way it was a lot easier to get through. But
yeah, I don't do words very well.
Yeah.
So no, actually that's exactly what I did when I started. I mean, like I didn't know anything about construction when I bought my first house. I just knew it was cheaper for me to buy a house than rent a house, so I bought a house. And I was 21, and I went to Home Depot and I got this book called 1, 2, 3 Home Improvement, a big orange book that like everybody on earth seems to have. And I just read that book, and whenever I needed to learn how to do something, I just go back and study that chapter. So I learned wiring, plumbing, I learned everything in a house off reading that book. I mean, all the basics, and it's helped me a ton.
Yeah, you just got to be careful that how long it takes you to change something is probably not how long it should take a professional, because I know I spent countless hours crouched down underneath the toilet trying to fix a small leak that probably would have taken a professional maybe 2 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, I've done that many times. I remember once that during that first house, I was trying to learn how to solder a copper pipe. And I spent probably 5 hours on this stupid one light connection. And then I called a friend of mine whose dad's a plumber. I talked to his dad, and I'm like, "Can you help me out here?" And he tried to help me, and at the end of the day, it still leaked. And I don't know. Yeah, there's something about knowing a little bit about it, and then there's doing it yourself. And I'm not saying you should do it yourself, but you should at least know this is how copper's joined.
Right.
Like this is how copper works. You put it together like this. That way, at least you can hire the right people to do those jobs for you.
All right. And don't reuse a pipe that was used for a gas line for a water line. Not that I did that, but I did buy a house where it was done.
Really?
It had been done. Because what I was wondering is why is it that when you turn on the cold water, it smells horrible?
Oh, weird. I never heard of anybody doing that, but that's
and then so the contractor went on there and replaced it, and he gave it to me, and I said, why is it sting? He said, well, this used to be a gas line. And they reused it for the water line. And it's amazing how much smell comes off of that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But anyway.
Wow, crazy. All right, number 21. Understand, I guess more like educate yourself in financial literacy. In other words, like get to know all the key terms that are important to know about real estate. Like if you don't know what cash on cash return is, figure it out. If you don't know what capital expenditures like CapEx or operating expenses or any of those big words, it's probably a good idea to know those things, and you can find them all over the world. I mean, look online. Every time you find a word you don't know what it means when you're reading a real estate book, look it up. There's a guy named Frank Gallinelli who has a book called What Every Real Estate Investor Needs to Know About Cash Flow and 36 Other Key Financial Measures. Fantastic. You'll learn all about cash flow and 36 other key financial measures.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Good actionable tip there. And then number 22 is listen to
podcasts. Yeah, listen to podcasts, because podcasts are like the best, because I listen to podcasts about any topic I want to know about. I'm training my dog to not pee inside, so I listen to dog training podcasts. And I like, it's just like when you listen, you just comprehend so much more, even on a subconscious level. It goes back to that you are the average of the 5 people you associate with the most. It's almost like you're hanging out with the people talking about real estate. So everyone listening to this right now, hopefully you are a little bit more like me and Danny than when you started. I mean, it might be minute, or a little bit at a time, but over time you'll hopefully become more like the people you're listening to. And I don't know if you want to be like Danny, but
Who would, right?
Who would?
I think it's true. And it's one of those things I really enjoy doing it while I'm going to look at properties or I'm going across town. You've got all that time.
Yeah.
And either put on the radio and you're not really listening to it, or put it on something you're going to get something from.
Yeah.
And then a big tip as well is to always realize that there's something we learn from everybody, because I think sometimes you're tempted to say, well, I already know about that thing. It's so basic. But there's always going to be something in there that makes you think of something else, or something that never clicked before. It's going to click that one time. So
Yep.
even though you're listening and you think, oh, well, I've heard that before, have you used it? Have you done something with it? And yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I know how to do a lot of things. I know how to get a six pack. Doesn't mean I have one. So like, I mean, like people
I
say
thought
all the
you
time,
meant
like they know.
yeah.
Not like a drink six pack. I know how to get like my sexy abs, but it doesn't mean I have one or ever will because there's a difference between knowing and doing, and so listening to podcasts, reading books. I still read real estate books because I might pick up something or be reminded about something, or it just one solution to one simple problem in the book might trigger an idea of how I can solve another problem in my life, in my real estate business. So yeah, never stop learning.
Yeah. And when you do, you stagnate and things get boring. So.
Yep.
All right, so that's the 22 actionable tips, and you guys are now on Bigger Pockets showing you're recording video, right, of the podcast?
We do. Yeah, we record video on everyone.
And that's on YouTube /
Yeah, I think YouTube / Bigger Pockets, I think it is. Yeah, youtube.com/Bigger Pockets. You can find that and a bunch of other cool videos, all teaching you more about real estate investing.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate you being back on the podcast, Brandon.
Yeah, happy to be here. It's been fun.
And you agreed to the next 5 also, so you'll be hearing from him for the...
I think we should do 1 hour podcast on every one of the tips we covered today. We're good for the next 22 hours.
All right, let's do
Marathon podcast right now.
Yeah, no, I think it's really good. And having this, we went through it pretty quick. I'll have that in PDF for download on the show notes page at FlippingJunkie.com/29, so you can get that there. Brandon, how can people find you and get in touch with you if they want to?
You can stop by my house, but that would be creepy. So probably the best way is going to be Twitter at Brandon@BP, or Instagram. I think it's like Brandon Turner _official. I think because there's an unofficial Brandon Turner out there somewhere trying to pretend to be me. So clearly, I got to be the official one. There is actually another Brandon Turner. He's a famous skateboarder, and so people confuse us a lot. Yeah, that's actually not actually true at all because I don't skateboard.
Yeah.
He's like 5 feet tall, and I'm like 7'9", not quite, but
Yeah, that'd be kind of interesting to see on a skateboard.
Yeah, I did for a while. I took up skateboarding. I could actually I could ride down a hill and then back up a hill.
Nice.
Yeah.
I used to skateboard. Did you?
Did you really? No, you look like you'd be a skateboarder.
I wasn't any good, but I skateboarded. That was high school.
Yeah. Wow. It'd be pretty cool, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That kind of looks like a skateboard shirt you're wearing right there. So.
Well, this is Oshkosh. This is a air show.
Oh.
T-shirts.
Okay. Well, same
I'll
thing.
let you borrow it. I'll mail it to you.
Thanks. I hope so.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, huh? All right. Well, thanks again, Brandon. I really do appreciate it, and talk to you later.
All right. Sounds good. See you later.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I enjoyed recording it with Brandon. It's always good to have him on the show. And we've got a PDF with all of those on there, so you can download and keep those and work on taking action on all of those steps to help further your progress in getting into flipping houses. You can get that at FlippingJunkie.com/29. That's FlippingJunkie.com/29, the show notes page. We'll have the links to books that were mentioned and other things that were mentioned on that episode so that you can check into each and every one of them. And be sure to check out leadpropeller.com. That's real estate investor websites that we provide and doing a lot of great things with those. So check out leadpropeller.com. Hope you have a good week and see you next week.